The Rendlesham Forest Incident, Britain's Roswell. RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge in Suffolk, England were, in 1980, among the most sensitive NATO air bases in Europe. Operated by the U.S. Air Force under a lease arrangement with the British government, they housed nuclear weapons and were considered critical to NATO defensive posture. The personnel stationed there were trained professionals, not civilian observers. What they reported over 3 nights in late December 1980 has never been officially explained by any government agency that investigated it. In the early hours of December 26, 1980, security personnel at RAF Woodbridge observed unusual lights in Rendlesham Forest, adjacent to the base. Assuming an aircraft had crashed, a patrol was sent to investigate. What they found was not a crashed aircraft. Airman First Class John Burroughs described seeing a bright triangular light moving through the trees. He and colleague Jim Peniston approached it on foot. Peniston would later claim he touched a structured craft with strange symbols on its surface before it silently departed. Next morning, the landing site was inspected by day. 3 depressions were found in the forest floor, arranged in a triangle, consistent with the landing gear of a craft. The surrounding trees had branches broken at a specific height. Radiation readings taken at the site by a Geiger counter were elevated, with the highest readings at the depressions themselves. This physical evidence was documented and preserved. A plaster cast of one of the depressions was made. The evidence was real and measurable. On the night of December 27th and into the 28th, the lights returned. This time, the investigating officer was Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, the deputy base commander. Halt led a team into the forest armed with night vision equipment, Geiger counters, and a dictation recorder on which he recorded his observations in real time. His recording, available to listen to today, captures him describing lights moving through the trees, beams of light shining down toward the ground near the nuclear weapons storage area, and objects moving erratically at high speed. Halt's contemporaneous audio recording is perhaps the most significant piece of evidence from the Rendlesham incident. Unlike a written report prepared after the fact, it was made in the moment, under stress, by a career military officer who had every professional reason to find a conventional explanation. On the recording, his voice is measured but clearly affected. He describes colored lights, structured objects, and a beam that hit the ground near their position. He was not a credulous civilian. He was a decorated Air Force officer describing what he was observing. The British Ministry of Defense was informed. They investigated. Their official response, summarized in a letter from the base commander to the MOD, known as the Halt Memo, treated the matter as unusual but not threatening to national security and did not warrant further investigation. When the MOD's UFO files were declassified and released in 2010, they showed that the MOD had, in fact, conducted a more extensive review than this dismissal suggested, but had reached no conclusion about what the lights were. Skeptical explanations have focused on the Orford Ness Lighthouse, visible through the trees from the forest at a specific angle, and on meteor activity documented during the same period. Charles Halt has explicitly rejected the lighthouse explanation, stating that the lights he observed moved independently, changed direction, and were not consistent with a fixed lighthouse beam. The radiation readings, the physical depressions, the broken branches, and the multiple independent witness accounts from trained military personnel are not easily dismissed. Charles Halt is now retired, in his 80s, and continues to maintain that what he witnessed that night was not any known natural or man-made phenomenon. John Burroughs spent years battling the U.S. government for his medical records, ultimately succeeding in what was described as an acknowledgement that his health issues were service-related, in connection with the Rendlesham incident. Whatever landed in that Suffolk forest over 3 December nights in 1980 remains officially unexplained. The best witnesses were the most credible possible, and they are still waiting for an answer.